right, I will.
Not much.
So it's June 1st facilities meeting. President Brian Doty, Mike Wolf, Larry Speed, Tamara Twardowski, Lauren Small, and Casey Blackbelt. What? I don't know, Casey. And also Dave Miller. So I will let you guys start.
Okay. I continue to leave Reserve Advisors Conference call on because we still want to make that connection. I'll let Casey go down and give you a progress update. Basically, aside from the one item that you emailed me about after the fact, most of this is just updates on where we're at.
And I just have a couple of contracts I've sent to you guys to give approval on. And then after my meeting with my custodians for 2.5 hours today, some things came up. So I'll be throwing some items on top of that.
Okay.
I plan on having a half-an-hour meeting with them just to go over summer stuff, and they left here at 4 o'clock. They were here at 1:30, so
Is that because of you or them?
Them and me, and we just kind of, we thought of something and then thought of something else, and then it just kind of started just kind of steamrolling into things. So
it's probably a new experience for them, wasn't it?
It was, and they were very glad I did it. And I told them I'm trying to do that once a month with them as well, plus my grounds guys and maintenance, trying to get those meetings once a month. Now that we're kind of having some type of a plan here. Now I'm kind of through the chaos. I won't say chaos, but getting my feet underneath me now. So
chaos is probably correct.
Parking lot seam and seal. It is definitely a much needed thing to have done. This week we are going to be spraying for all the weeds along the curb edges at the high school, middle school, and AEC. Those are the three that I really want to concentrate on getting sealed, getting the crack sealed. We just have weeds and stuff growing up and out of them, so we posted on Friday for spraying, so we'll be spraying them this week. I have the equipment coming the 15th of June. Ole Township and Amity Township both are going to be using the equipment as well, so we're going to use it first, and then Amity's going to try to get their guys ready, and then Ole as well, rather than transport it back and forth all the time. We can just kind of hit all three of them. So, the weather hopefully will hold out. It's been nice and dry, so we won't be mowing a whole lot of grass.
Until now.
Well, it's still not gonna. It's gonna take a little while. So, but that's the game plan at this point. The high school ductwork installation. I had my contractor down. His proposals are above the thresholds that we're able to do just with a one bid kind of thing. So I'm looking at some. The other part of that is, after talking to Kenny Temple up at the high school, one of those units currently is inoperable. Why, I have no idea. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to replace all the ductwork insulation if the unit has to be replaced. The ductwork won't line up with the new unit. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of hold off on that until I know.
What unit is that, Case?
It is the one for the auditorium. It's if you're standing at the front of the school,
An AC unit?
Yeah, it's an HVAC unit for the auditorium. It's not working.
Low use areas.
So right now we're running on one unit there, and have been for a long time. So
that's why it was always hotter than what in there.
Yeah. So my intent is shortly is to get on that roof and see what's up with that unit. It didn't make a whole lot of sense there again to spend $15,000 or $16,000 to do the duct insulation if we have to tear it back 15 feet to tie the new ductwork in if that unit is totally defunct. And I don't know at this time. So I have the proposals.
And that's in the annex?
That's the high school.
No.
That's the main high school.
The main.
Yeah, not the annex.
The new part. I was going to say, you're thinking the middle school, right?
Yeah, cafeteria.
There's 2 of 4 units for the CAF that aren't working either. So
So there's How many
So we're talking
units?
about
Three so far.
Three so
Six
far?
units, there's 6 units, 4 for the cafeteria, 2 for the auditorium, and currently 2 and 1 of those do not work.
Half of them.
Yeah, and haven't worked,
Okay,
from
now
what
I'm
I
getting it.
understand, for quite some time. And those were some of the pictures I showed you of
Yeah.
the installation. So,
I know.
what my intent is, the 2 that are operational and those are the 2 for the cafeteria that are operational are the ones that just have the straight pieces of ductwork that was peeling and stuff. They're like $1,000 or $1,500. So, I'll just do that in next year's budget. At this point in time, it doesn't. I don't know what I'm getting myself into with them, so I'm not going to worry about it. But the other 2 units for the cafeteria, I don't know what shape they're in. So I may be coming back to you in a month or so saying, hey, these are non-operational, let's look at replacing them.
So the thing we just authorized to replace last meeting, like the chiller or in the cooling tower, whatever.
Cooling tower,
What does that have to do with all this other stuff?
That
Anything?
just cools the water.
Oh,
That's all
okay.
it does.
Okay. The water for the
For the
AC. Okay.
And for the heating and air conditioning. They're a
So it
resource heat
recycles?
pump system,
Okay.
so you want the temperature to be between a certain threshold for the units to work correctly for heating and cooling. So the cooling tower will either will cool the water down during the summertime to enable cooling, but then if the water gets too cold in the wintertime, that cooling tower will shut off. It has to, you have to, if the loop gets too hot in the wintertime, then it actually cools the water down so the compressors work correctly. The water in the heat in the winter can actually be too hot, and the compressors won't work. So it happens very few times because with the way the system is designed, we have to run the pumps all the time. So we have a constant cooling effect on the loop. So sometimes in the wintertime, our loop actually gets too cold. And then we have to turn the pumps off and hope we don't have to bring the fire company up to pressurize the line to get the system back.
I remember this from last.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
do we
the
have
fire company thing will be taken out of the picture once we get the cooling tower replaced because I'll be out and
It's
about.
like a hamster.
I would say, is this one of those lovely byproducts of you have to take the low bid kind
It's
of thing?
just
Like
a
that's
poor
just
design.
that's
Where
okay.
they put the equipment, I would never put the equipment there, but I found out through some of the employees here that they believe the township mandated the equipment be put over there because they didn't want it up on a still platform. See, I would have just put it up on a still platform and left the pump inside. Then we just would have pumped up, and the water would have drained down and pumped up and drained. Now we're actually pushing and pulling the water with pumps because it's about 250 feet away with piping instead of 50. And gravity would have been our friend with it up on a platform. Now it's ground level, and we're actually trying to pull the water up. It's there again. I would have never put it where it's at. So I just hear stories from the staff. So
Well, that would
That was
have.
the building.
I was going to say that would have been that should have been the architectural design from the beginning.
Yeah.
And the township can suggest what they want, but if it beats the code, they can't tell you can't do it. So.
that's just what I've been told. So it doesn't mean down the road, if we continue to have issues with that piping, that we can't just take the cooling tower we have and put it on a pair of stilts too. It's not, just because it's over there doesn't mean it has to stay there, and that type of cooling tower can be moved if we would have to moving forward. But that's, like I said, the insulation, we're just kind of on hold with that. The electrical panels and lighting issues, I replaced the lights for the batting cage. We believe some of the fixtures were wired incorrectly from the factory, so I have to check what's going on with them. Only half the lights light on 3 of the 5 fixtures.
Didn't we pay them to act? Wait, did we do that ourselves?
We did that ourselves.
Okay.
So, but it's in the fixture itself. It's not the wiring going to it is actually in the fixtures. There might be a warranty issue with it or something, or defective parts. Or right now we have more light now than what we had with the old fixtures. So I'm kind of letting softball use it during the playoffs, and once school's out, I'll get in there and see what's going on.
Okay.
High school roof repair, we had a couple more leaks show up. They were reported to Tremco. They came out, found a couple more seams that had splits in them, and we're just keep picking away at that. We have a warranty on that roof until 2017 for any leak, but I definitely think we need to prepare ourselves to replace that roof come 2017 or 2018, because I don't think Tremco will give us another warranty.
They've been out a lot.
They've been out a lot. So, yeah, they should have told us we had a warranty.
Shame on them.
Yeah. Monocacy's parking lot drainage.
It's the right thing to do.
The original proposal was $23,400, and that was to dig 120 by 60 area. I have talked to Farino in depth about this over the last couple of days, and we talking, and he did this at a couple other places. Our initial thought was that the drain is here, come up and run 3 lines over and catch all the water. What he did was, if the catch basin is here, at a lot of other places, he's only gone up 20 to 30 feet, dug about a 10 by 10 or 15 by 15 square, filled it with stone, put the geotex over there, made that almost like a French drain, and then ran a pipe out of that into the catch basin. Every place he has done it, it has resolved the issues. So he's going to work up a revised proposal for that. He said it'll be anywhere between $7,000 to $10,000 rather than 23.
Yeah,
so it makes sense to try that because if it doesn't work, then all we do is just extend out, as needed. So he's going to work up a revised proposal for that. Right now it's dry, of course, because it hasn't rained in quite some time. The equipment purchase will hit then. Just the district-wide key system upgrade. The first 2 weeks while school's out, I'll be going around just going through the doors, verifying my count so I get an accurate price. The key change out for here, the lock change out for here has been ordered. So that has been done because we're having a lot of issues with these locks as well. So we've been repairing a bunch.
Really?
And now's the time. Just the pins that break and stuff like that. I don't know if they were installed incorrectly when they did it before, but we've been having some issues. The hardware, the locking mechanism is fine. It's just where the core goes in and ties in has been an issue. I had one the other day just kept spinning on me, but yeah, somebody else came over with the key and it worked fine. So it's just we have a little bit of an issue there. Equipment purchase and disposition update. I gave Lauren a whole lot of pictures, so I'm not sure where he's at with.
I'm working with Lancaster Farming newspaper, developing the ad. You got to get your format and get the pictures sent over to them and get the ad run. And it'll be a sealed bid, let it run for a week, 10 days, and have a deadline for the opening of the bids. Casey started to line stuff up along the middle school storage building, like an auction. So,
when do you anticipate that running?
here in the next 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So by the end of June, we'll have it advertised. I get right. Is that we'll advertise it in?
I'd like to have everything wrapped up by the end of June in this fiscal year.
Okay.
So then you want this stuff gone, like paid for and gone by these. I don't remember. I should, I guess, but did the board authorize the disposition? Did we do that last month?
Let me double check what I did on this. I'm not sure I put the final list together. If I didn't, it'll be on the calendar next week.
Okay.
I didn't do it yet. I I prepared it, but did I put it on? It's a good point. I'll make sure it's on.
Okay.
Because I need to have the board approval for disposition before I can dispose of it.
Right. Yeah, but I don't.
I think we approved scrapping the trucks.
Yeah,
And
but
say
that's
we
low ad.
discussed the concept.
But I don't think we actually. We didn't. I don't think we had a
A
list
line item.
that said this is what we're. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Yeah, because everything has to be voted on, or so. Okay.
And then on the equipment purchase side, this of course came up today, and I've had pricing on this, and Laura and I have discussed a bunch of things. But the need for these has become very evident after discussing this with the custodial staff today. We are unable to strip all of the wax off the hallways with the current equipment we have. So I'll use the high school for example. So what they do at the high school is they strip part of the annex this year, they strip the rest of the annex next year, then they want to strip part of the high school and then to finish the high school. So they never really get the ability to get all of the wax off the floors, or at least get it down to a point where they recoat it 2 or 3 times and we don't end up with 12, 15 coats of wax on the edges. Because we don't just have the equipment to do it. The old, your normal, side by side as they call them, with the 20-inch pad that you swing back and forth, just takes forever. The cleanup's a nightmare. We have one 20-inch orbital scrubber. What that is, it's a 20-inch square pad. It's like a big palm sander. It's a walk-behind palm sander. And what it does is you fill it with water, and you use a specific type of pad, and you can take off 4 coats of wax on one pass. So we sand it and we clean it all at one time. It sands it, it sucks up the debris, you wash out the machine, and you just keep on going. We'll cut our time down probably, if not in half, to a third of the time it takes to do the floors in the hallways, just because of the ease. I'll use a gym for an example. Amity Elementary gym takes 2 guys the better part of 7 days, 6 to 7 days to totally do when they do a polish, a seal coat on it, because they have to add water to the side-by-sides as they do it. They have to shop vac it, it has to sit for a day, they have to go back in, wet mop it to get all the debris out of there. It just makes a mess, and until they finish it, it's about 6 or 7 days. Last year they borrowed Clean Images 20-inch orbital scrubber, and it took them 2.5 days. So we've saved 4 days worth of man hours for 2 guys.
Who's cleaning?
Clean Image is a custodial supplier, who we buy the majority of our toilet paper, paper towels, cleaning supplies, all that kind of stuff. So they've used theirs, and I mean every single school district has pretty much one of these in their buildings. And then you use it all year long to do your hallways as well. You put a different type of pad on it, and that way you can clean your hallways and everything. It's a much more efficient way of doing it. And with the extreme buildup of wax that we have in these hallways, we really do need to do some serious stripping this year.
Why is that such a bad thing?
The more wax you build up, the more yellow your hallway floors become.
So it's just aesthetics.
It's aesthetics, and it holds dirt, and you get the buildup that holds dirt on the edges, and it becomes an issue over time. Because what a lot of schools have started doing is they'll not coat to the very edge. They'll leave like a foot on each side, and then what they do is the last coat they go and they hit those edges, because who walks a foot close, against the wall? Unfortunately, in the practices of former custodians here, we have 12, 15, 20 layers of wax, to the point where at the middle school cafeteria, if you walk in there, you can literally see the grooves from the chairs and stuff, where it just peeled the wax up, and now your wax does this, It's also to the point where, in order to do the entrances with, you've heard me talk about that 3M product that we tried at the middle school. It's a one coat on the terrazzo. Is that
So,
yeah? It's a one coat process. It's a 2-coat process the first year you do it, then a 1-coat process after that, rather than the wax system now that's a 4-coat, 5-coat process, depending on where. These machines will enable us to strip the areas faster to do those.
What are we talking?
20 grand for 2 of them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this question.
You know,
Can
it's,
you hire somebody to come in and strip the floors?
they're going to bring this exact equipment in.
Right, but I mean, comparatively, do we know what I don't know what they would charge for something like that, but is it?
Well, it's just not to strip the floors. This will enable us to clean the hallways faster and better during the year. You know, this is used year round. It's just it is so much quicker because right now the machine we have here has 2 11-inch pads, so you get about an 18-inch swath that's clean if you're lucky. This, if I get a 28-inch pad, I'm getting 28 inches clean every time. Well, 27 because you're going to have that little bit of an overlap. The 20-inch one they use at the high school now, it takes them 5 passes to do the hallways because of the way the overlap is. We can cut this down to almost 3. So it'll enable saving time and custodial staff as well because with the way that building is used, they have limited time at night. You know, they have a short little window of time at night. So.
Well, and I guess that's where I would go with this, and I hate to be the downer, but if you're going to spend $20,000 to increase efficiency, and I don't know, say we spend 50 man days a year stripping things, and now we can do it in 15. Either what are they going to do the additional 35, or can we potentially save money by decreasing hours?
Yeah, I'd like to know what the payback is versus.
Moving forward, yes, because my intent with this is if I can get the 3M system down on all the entrances and stuff like that, and I can move through the school, my payback is over a longer period of time because now I'm not spending the hours to recoat. It took the guys, 2 guys, 4 hours to clear a 15 by 15 square at the middle school because with the side by sides, with this it probably would have taken an hour and a half. You know.
Right. So there is a return on investment. I don't want it to be turned into now I can spend 45 minutes reading the paper in the morning. I don't know if they do. You know what? I mean, we need to fill those hours if we're losing those hours and we're spending money on the equipment. That's all. Like you would in a business. It's the return on investment.
I agree. Yeah. I'd like to see what the payback is, and then what the cost would be to have somebody come in and do it. You know.
the unfortunate thing is the floors have been neglected and allowed to build up for so long.
Right.
Ordinarily, we wouldn't have that much effort.
Yeah, if you walk into the high school, I know what you're talking about. If you walk into the high school in door 5, and you go straight down the hallway to the second intersection where it transitions into the F wing, there's spots where you can actually see where there's divots and holes,
right.
and it's got and then it goes down that ramp, and it's even worse.
And I mean, one machine is, I shouldn't say 20.
You could probably put a quarter or something in there.
Clean Images price for 20 inches, $98.95. Veritiv, who used to be Expedex, their price is $8,020, so it's $16 grand for 2 28-inch machines.
Call a third company, it'll be $12,000.
No. Because I know what I get for that price.
Worth a try.
Well, maybe we have somebody come in and do this.
Well, obviously you can take these around.
And this is also to replace some of the 4 machines that we currently
right,
have that are 15 years old, that are due for changing as well. So it's.
What does a regular machine cost? If you replace what we had, what does that cost?
Would be about $5,000 to $6,000.
So
They're
it's-
about
okay.
40% more money. They're more.
So there, I mean, your difference is that
$3,000 to $4,000
$3,000 per
Right.
unit, and then what do you get back for the amount of time you save by using them versus?
And I can tell you this, Mark Kukro was willing to spend his own money to rent one to do the Amity gym floor because it was that much better. Because he goes, Casey, if you can't get me one, I'm going to rent one myself.
What do they cost to rent?
So,
Too much.
and like I said, I know there's, because, what's that?
Said I'll be helping and paying for it. That's really good to know.
Yeah, because, and like I said, I'm going to be coming to you in probably the next year or two with the same requests
To replace these old
to
15-year-old?
replace these old pieces of equipment.
Is that about the lifespan of one of these things?
Yeah.
So we're like at the,
Brandywine School District, I was talking to him last week at the custodial conference that we went to, and he has one that's 12 years old, and the only thing he changed on it was a switch, the on-off switch, just because they use it so much.
Well, is there a secondary market for these machines that we can buy one used?
There is, but when you buy the Tomcat is who makes it, and these things are pretty much bulletproof. I wouldn't say they're bulletproof, but they're almost bulletproof. The warranty on them, I believe, is 7 years against any leak. I can tell you they are by far the best made machine out there, and they're the cheapest.
Well, I just don't want to get into a situation like what you guys discovered with all this, lawn equipment crap.
Right.
I was like, can we start with one?
And then we got a fleet
And
of
move it
start with
around?
We can start with the
Fleet of
one.
world's
For the summer? I mean,
finest floor
I know,
washers or something.
I'm guessing you want to get this for the summer because you
Right.
want to do this stuff in the summer. And we probably don't usually meet in July, so I understand that you want to do this meeting.
And I was waiting until I could kind of see where we stood at the end of the year. And like I said, the overall budget has some surplus there, but I know there's other budget issues that are coming forward. So trust me, I got a list this long of equipment that I'd love that we need, and I would love to ask for, but I understand that.
well, what kind of money are we talking about? What does Casey have left in his
Well,
budget? I mean, we always ask you that every time, the cooling towers. Where's that money coming from?
actually, at this point, I would probably push it into next year anyway,
What's the advantage or disadvantage?
just because I've already identified where I think I'm going to end in aggregate for the year
Oh, so yeah.
for budgeting purposes.
So if Casey had to say a fund, money left in his budget, you've already taken
That pushed
one
it
month,
towards next
technically,
year.
I've taken
whatever
it.
you thought he didn't need for the next month.
But he's got a healthy budget for next year to handle some of this too, so we haven't cut it.
What about leasing?
Well, all right. What if? All right. So his new budget starts come July 1st. So if we were to approve, we would have to vote on it this month.
Right.
So he could procure it in July and then be able to use it over the summer when he
He can procure it
4 week
tomorrow.
lead time.
You just have a 30 day.
But
net
Well, when you have
30.
to actually pay for it.
Oh, well,
when
wait,
you see
we-
that?
I can treat it as a prepaid expense on next year if he were to get it tomorrow. If you approved it tonight, he could get his hands on it tomorrow.
Well, I can't approve anything.
I
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it's
it's got to-
co-stars. I mean, it's.
But the
it's-
board, I would think it would have to go on to the board.
No, but I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
Okay.
from an accounting standpoint, you could treat it as a prepaid.
Okay.
See, I don't like the co-stars thing either because, in my world, co-stars is a joke.
Well-
It's not a good price.
One item at 8,000, you don't need co-stars.
Right.
Right, you could
Well,
just
that's your
call,
best price,
you
'cause you're
could
under
call
10,000.
anybody and get a
Right.
price.
You get from 10,000 to 18, 19,000, now you need three quotes, telephonic or written. and then over that is bid.
Well, yeah, and just like, I bet you both those vendors are CoStar vendors, and you got a difference of 98.95 and 80.20.
Well, they're different machines. This one is,
Oh.
this one's made by, who the hell makes this one? Clean
Brian,
Image
Brian's
sells
right. You don't rely on CoStar.
Pacific.
Yeah,
The
it's,
advantage to CoStars is when you are in a bid situation.
So is that,
and
what is that?
You're in a hurry.
This one actually is a lighter duty, but it's more
In this
money.
case,
The Clean Image one is I don't feel as a good of a machine as,
Okay, that's what I just want to
So
make sure
this-
the one that's 80/20 is what you just
Right.
said was bulletproof
yeah.
or whatever.
And I can tell you this, almost every single school district is buying Tomcats because they just have realized how good of a piece of equipment they are.
what about leasing?
I hate that
Options.
options buildup.
You should see it. You could lay a quarter in some of those spots.
Easy.
Well,
I say, I don't even, can you lease something like this?
Look at the middle school cafeteria.
You can rent it.
Lease anything you want.
You get, right, but what's the advantage?
You don't have a capital outlet. That's it.
yeah, but it depends on.
Well, you might be
if you're
paying more
using
money.
it as much
Yeah.
as he's using it, you're going to be constantly.
Yeah.
Depends on how you structure it.
Because he's talking about using it in place of the machines they use every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not talking rental. He's talking like lease to own
purchase.
kind of thing.
Lease or FMV, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, see, the big advantage for leasing to a school district is cash flow,
Right.
Right.
whereas
But if you have the money,
corporate, you got the tax bill.
Section 179 and all that.
Leasing's for suckers.
Yeah, it is. And I lease it all the time.
and no, and we kind of take that opinion where I'm at too, but except
I
for
love leasing.
this year we were going out to borrow $10 million, so we leased some of our trucks instead of paying $150 out for it. Because it looks you have a bigger
Right.
cash balance, you know,
Yeah, it's just
but
So do we make a decision here, a recommendation?
does anybody
Do you get
care
any
to
kind of
throw a
break for buying
recommendation out there?
Is there one unit price?
Well,
the same
I'm
as two?
sure if I called him tomorrow and I said, hey, I want 2 of them, I'm sure that price will go down a few bucks.
Oh, so you priced out for one unit?
Just one. I priced out just for one because there again, I didn't want to have
Well,
somebody
then-
give me a price for 2 and I go back and say, okay, I can only buy one, and they come back and say, oh, well, I gave you $500 off because we're buying 2 of them.
So let's take that one step further. See, so if we say we got 1 this year, and then next year we needed 4 because you had to replace the rest yourself, we should get an even better deal when we buy 4.
Now, if I had my way, I'd buy about 6 of them and replace every piece of crap they have in this school district.
That's what that's kind of what I was.
Right. If you go and you say we're going to buy X, right, will you get much?
$500 definitely wouldn't be worth it, but I mean, I work deals with people all the time like that where it's serious dollars.
And I don't know what it is, but I'm just saying, I didn't ask.
I have the opinion if you're going to replace them with exactly what you have, you're going to spend 10, or you can get these super machines for 16 or thereabouts, maybe less.
Go with this.
I'd rather.
No,
go
I
with
would too if you're going to buy. I'd like to at some point look at, not us, but I mean, you've got to be looking at. You're coming to us and say, well, if we buy this mower, if we buy this, if we buy that, we say, okay, well, how does that benefit us in the long run? And you know what I mean, right?
When we get the 5-year plan in place for starters, should be beyond 5, for this equipment replacement in all areas, whether it be turf equipment or grounds or floor maintenance equipment, because we're dealing with dinosaurs in virtually every area of the district.
Yep.
And
Or wrong
then-
equipment.
Then when you say to us, okay, what are you buying this year? We say we've got $50,000 in the equipment budget, and here's the items we're going to buy this year. Here's 5 years up. Much like my 5-year budget.
No, and I agree with that.
But we have to be more specific rather than putting out fires when
Right.
Yeah.
We're
That
being
seems like that's what
being
we're doing.
reactive instead of
Because
proactive. I know the feeling.
The unfortunate part, and the reason why I brought this up now after meeting with them is our truck fleet is in some sad shape. I need a $7,000 plow for next year. I really do need another plow truck for next year, which is you're talking. I mean, just for example,
35 grand.
Now we spent like 27 or something for
right?
the one we have.
We're going to be spending another 35, 40 grand on a truck with a plow to get ready, you know, for next winter. So that's kind of why I said 2 instead of 1 to try to get it in this year, so it's not like I'm coming to you for a whole lot of money
Right.
before fall of next
Well,
year.
except for he
Why
says he's
change
putting
your-
it in
why
next
change
year
your
anyway.
tactic now?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and wait, actually, you should
I'd
get
rather
3
just eat
because
the
it
whole
needs to be
sandwich.
25,000, right? Isn't that our number? Everything's 25,000.
Yeah, so this is a bargain.
So really, you should be buying 3.
20 G case.
and with the unknowns on the roof of the high school right now, you know,
Do you think you could put, you know, to Tamara's point, do you think you could put, I'd be comfortable in recommending 2. All right, if you like, here's our projects that we currently use it for, you know, with what we have,
Yeah.
with this machine. So, I mean, you can kind of look at it and just, you know,
I can
just
spell
putting
it out
round
for you.
numbers, you can start to see what you're saving.
And like I said, I've had this pricing, I can be honest with you, I've had this quote from Clean Image since October 3rd. That's how long ago I asked them for this pricing. Because I knew we had the need, but I didn't want to bring it up right away. After talking to the guys today, there's a definite need, you know, for them. So I will sit down with them and I'll show you what we're doing and the time we're going to save. And it's to the point where if I don't have these machines, I'm not doing the gym floors this summer. I'm going to wait till the winter time to do them because I'm not going to have the time to do them.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Recommend 2, and
Yeah.
with the
You know.
caveat
It's
that
only
he's going to
money.
provide some, you know,
We wanted 2 for.
some numbers
this
for
I want
payback.
to see, I want to see payback numbers. I want to see, you know, how many hours we're going to save and how,
Because you can
how we're going
assign
to
it.
backfill those hours. I mean, you know, it's just like, I'm just really leery. Just,
Well, I remember you know, when Ken was here, his intention was to seriously work on some of the high school bathrooms because the kids had tore out the walls. They
Yep.
had, and you just didn't. He didn't have the resources over the summer to attack them that way.
right.
Still like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
Really? Yeah, some are bad.
Because it was, they're just
Right, and
drywall,
that's kind
you
of
know,
almost
they
like what
just
I'd
kick-
like to see. Like, here's our project list, and if we can save time on floors or grass or this with different equipment, these are the things that I like to see done or that need done that we can fill those hours
I
with.
agree.
I agree with the mayor.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I have no problem. That's why I'm not really prepared for that because I would normally have that already spelled out for you, but they left at 4 o'clock, and I
Right.
just didn't have the time to do it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's
Yeah, why?
that. I'll get that. I'll get that
Right.
information for you, and I'll email it to everybody so you have it, so at least you know going into the meeting for it. But like I said, I have a 4-week lead time on these, so the sooner
Alright, well,
the sooner I can order, the better off I'm going to be.
can you put it on for the committee of the whole, please? Thank you.
Email us the information so we
Yep,
can back
you'll have
up.
it. You'll have it tomorrow, or the next day.
Okay.
I'll get everything to you.
And like, don't get me wrong, I mean,
What was the
I
number for
do the
one?
same thing with my guys when they come to me and say they need part-time
$20.
help. Well, start writing out hours of what you're spending doing it.
Right.
Because it's hard for me to go justify that you need help
for
when I
like,
don't know
if I
what
get 2,
you're
what are
doing.
you going to do for me? Kind of thing.
I'll be emailing
Or
him
what you're
on my way home tonight. So, and then
Tell me you want it for 6.
that ain't gonna happen. Not when the competition is almost 10. So, just 2 quick things. These are renewal contracts. One is SAH, who does our monitoring for our fire alarm system. They are a total $2,080 for the year. It's $380 per building times 6 buildings, $380 per building.
Wow.
how much is that?
And that's just for the monitoring? Do you
Just
have
for monitoring.
I just say, because I'm paying
And just
way
for
more
fire
than that.
alarm, right?
That's fire alarm, yes, and that's through SAH, who currently does it now.
And what's the total case?
2080.
Hang on. 380 times 6 is 084. Sorry, 2280.
22.
I forgot the
So
carry.
who services the system? Do they? Or does somebody else?
when the fire alarm goes out, our fire alarm panel automatically calls their phone number, and then they dispatch the fire company, the police, or
Right.
whomever. is on
But
the
say you have a
phone.
problem with the,
We do that with another contractor.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Pletcher Fire, who you
That
approved
comes in and tests
other
them and all that other
2
stuff.
meetings
Okay.
ago,
Yep.
for the smoke detector inspection, sprinkler inspection. So that's
We
their,
were getting beat up on that.
that's their contract as of July 1.
Okay.
So that's just, we have to have it. It's not a,
Right. But,
and then,
I think that's an acceptable going rate.
yeah. I mean, you might save 10 or 20 bucks with somebody else, but I didn't,
yeah, but they also test the system. They also.
Oh, they do.
I mean, like we use Tyco or something, but it's like
Then she
three
put July 1
grand
on
a
there.
year for a township building or something.
I'll get you one that says
It's
July
crazy.
1.
You might want to call
Okay.
this.
I know, that's what I was like, wait, I'm
Actually, I
looking
just put
at it. Was in place when I got there. I just paid a bill.
so-
I've never signed anything.
July 1.
We need a Lauren there to keep questioning.
Okay, really.
Casey, what about, is that something that has to be renewed every year? Can we
Yes.
get a multi-year contract out of them and try to get a better deal? or
We
something?
can, and I can ask her. Like I said, I'm just, since it's a
Doesn't
contract
hurt.
that has to be signed, I'm just bringing it up to
Yeah.
you guys, just to kind of let you know what's going on.
Smart thing.
So our,
Like our turf.
and just to bring you up to speed on service agreements,
We should go back
Pletcher
to
Fire
that.
does our smoke detector, our sprinklers, they do our backflow preventer testing that we're required to do once a year from the borough. SAH is our monitoring company. JC Ehrlich is doing our pest management. I'm asking for revised pricing from them starting July 1. I haven't
Wait,
gotten
pest
that yet.
management?
What's that?
Pest management?
Bug control.
Tapes on.
Bug control. Or IPM, as all the people that love that give.
Insect.
You know, integrated pest
Oh,
management
integrated.
Bring
service.
some ortho around the building.
They
Come on,
can't. You
what's
can't.
that? Why can't he?
I'm going to try to, yeah.
Probably not. You probably have to have a licensed
Yeah,
sprayer.
Yeah.
Do you want to spray? Do you want to spray the building if they might be allergic or something?
Reading elevator for our quarterly inspections for elevators, good till that one was approved before. And then Proasis or Clenzoid are one of the two. One of those two companies will be our chemical treatment for our cooling towers, our rust inhibitor for our closed loop systems for our hot water, chilled water systems. Having a little battle with Proasis right now, so depending on how that goes, I have Clenzoid's number. Proasis is cheaper, but they've done some things I don't really care for. Long story short, Ken had them bill us for 2 biocides to treat a cooling tower. We only used 1. They've been billing us that way since 2008 at Ken's request. It was a total of about $13,000 we spent for more or less nothing. There's a controller we have on loan at the high school that they have on loan for us at the high school for $1,200. So I said to them, we'll call it a wash. I'm not going to ask you for a credit, but we'll call it a wash for the controller. And they're like, well, only if you renew with us for 1 more year. And there's been some not so nice emails going back and forth between us and them.
How
So,
can something be on loan for $1,200? If you
Well-
loan it, you loan it.
Yeah.
correct. So they kind of played the, well, if you renew with us, then it's yours. Because the way it works is usually they own their equipment, but Ken had bought the equipment, the pumps and whatnots from them, and they just supply the chemicals. But they're $2,500 cheaper than Clenzoid, so even if I'm not happy with them, they're still a much cheaper price for the same service.
And what does it do? I mean, like,
When you have a cooling tower, you're evaporating water, all right, so your solids fall out into the cooling tower, so that solid content, that concentration will increase the longer the unit runs because you're always adding fresh water in there, which has the solids. There's nowhere to get rid of those solids. So what they do is they test the conductivity of the water. The higher your conductivity, the more solids in your water, the more minerals. So it purges it, and then they add more or less an acid to it to dissolve those solids. So when they purge it, it goes to drain.
CLR.
It just makes,
Yeah.
well, it's just exactly, it's CLR, exactly right.
Listen, you need to go to Home Depot and just walk down and find all this right
I have to put something in some terms.
They test our water
I'm not a
softeners.
plumbing guy.
Yeah, they test our water softeners to make sure our water softeners are operating correctly and make adjustments as needed.
Right.
They put rust inhibitor in all of our closed loop piping so none of the piping rusts from the inside out. As long as you're not adding water, you shouldn't have that because there's no oxygen in it.
That's what I was
But there is oxygen in the water, and if you don't treat it over a long period of time, it will fail. And then they also check our glycol in our systems to make sure we're at the right concentrations. Now, they won't replace the glycol because glycol is expensive, but they will tell us when we're out of spec.
What's the glycol do?
Antifreeze.
Antifreeze.
Okay. Makes sense.
So your geothermal system
No seal
will freeze
on
the
there.
ground. So, so I'm just in the process of arguing with them. We're going to be going with them, but it's just, I've been making them squirm a little bit because it isn't like their
That's
initial answer of, if you renew with us, we'll give you the
It's
control.
okay to make
Well,
them
unless they
sweat a
listen to
little.
the facilities tape.
Yeah.
Online.
No, trust me, what I said now, everything was in the emails. It was,
Okay.
and then the other one, and I'm waiting for Train to give me an official proposal. As you know, the train contracts, we've been quite discussions about that. What I've done is I've asked them to give me a support agreement for a 1 visit per month. As you know, 1 visit per month to repair any issues that we may have with controls and stuff like that. So I'm paying for a day, 1 day a month. That includes their travel time. So I have them on site for about 5.5 to 6 hours. The cost for that is $13,824 for a calendar year. And then the other part of this is,
It's over $1,000
because nothing with them is for,
Oh, yeah.
is for free.
Probably 200
What they
bucks
call
an
is a
hour.
VA system level review and analysis. They provide it twice a year. That's any updates we need. Making sure all the network communicators are working, and just do a diagnostics of the mainframe of the system. And that's $4,600 for a year. So I'm looking at $18,430 for that renewal compared to $136,000 we were paying.
And that gets us off credit hold?
Yes, once Lauren resolves the check issue with them on who gets the check, yes.
Well, we resolved that 2 weeks ago. The attorney sent me an email and said, here's the final number, how soon can you get a check? And I said, pretty much when you want it, because I informed the board what we're doing. The check is on my desk, in my drawer, and I said, show me the agreement, how are you gonna distribute this check to me? And he apparently went on vacation over Memorial Day and didn't get back to me. So I still got the check, but that issue was resolved, and
So he should be able to get parts.
he can do
We're
whatever
paying
he
them?
can. Now, is this
Yeah,
Harrisburg or
We do.
Philly?
This
there
is
was a little
Harrisburg.
bit of a
Philly
buyout.
give you a better
Yeah.
deal?
Philly is not allowed to come here right now as of yet. Because Train Corporate runs Train
Has,
Harrisburg, and when I brought Train Philly in, they of course had to go to corporate, and corporate said, why are you up there when they owe us $80-some thousand
All right, but now we've settled that issue, could Philly come in and give us a better price?
They're not allowed.
Why?
It's outside of their trading area.
Because they're
not
still
outside
not
the
going to let,
trade
they're not
area,
going to
but
let
they're
one
not
give
allowed.
another
If
lower
the issue
price.
was we hadn't
Right.
paid our bill's paid.
Yeah.
It's a territorial thing.
It's, yeah, and I'm not gonna ask them this year to get involved. They said, give us 1 year, get your stuff all kosher, everybody happy, and, you know, we'll move on. So, and trust me, they've been jumping through hoops on this. And they'll probably give us, they're willing to give us a 10% discount with adding some other things in here. I don't want those other things, which only add to $3,000 in total. So I'm sure I'll get a discount from them as well, because they know I'm not very happy. So they've been more than understanding here lately. And their technician's been doing a great job. When he comes here, he's being super thorough, and he's doing the job they should have been doing a long time ago.
Well,
How
it
much did we
should.
pay for the contract initially?
$130-some thousand a year.
$130,000 last year.
Under 30,000 down to 18,400.
430. Now 70 of that was the
But we've
was the
already looked at those
performance contract
savings,
stuff, but
so-
we were paying about $11,000 a building times 6 before.
In which, how much are we writing back to them? What's the check?
4,700, but that's got a couple of invoices.
That has a couple invoices to it work, so.
For work that they came in and repair work that they had done.
And they didn't bill because they were waiting for an answer on how to proceed. So You know, it was legit stuff, and I said, just give me work slips, and they did. I said, I'll pay it. So,
That's a nice one to get out of.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a win.
So once I should have a formal proposal, because like I said, he gave me a grocery list of items here. So I'm going to go with those two. And there again, if I needed to do something else besides that, then I'm buying blocks of time. I'm not tied into them for $100,000 a year or $70,000 a year. So,
Well, that's good work, though.
you know, I don't mind paying 6 hours here or 8 hours there as additional services. So,
I agree.
and their technician's been great. I've had a couple issues last week. I called him. He answered his phone right away. Hey, try this, try that. You know, he's been great. So, you know, he is definitely an asset to us, you know, having him on board. So then the other thing was AEC's entrance that I had talked about last month. I had Steve Loomis from the township actually there today to look at any codes issues. Zero codes issues with doing what we want. I showed him what we were going to do. So I have to make a copy of one of the drawings that shows that, make my corrections in red ink. I'll get together with Dane and we'll go over and we'll measure out what his intents are and what we can do with what we have. We can reuse all the countertops. We can reuse everything in the office. We may have to add some, you know, VCT floor tile in where the countertops were now or something like that. But you know, we can build a wall as we wanted to, where the pull-down cage is. We'll put windows in there. The only issue he has is that his question was how many people would be in that office at a time. I said, well, I think max occupancy is probably 10 or 12 in the conference room, 2 in the office. You know, Dane, if every office had one person plus a guest in their office, I think we're below 25, and I think he said after 50 you have to have 2 means of egress.
Oh, okay.
So he said it shouldn't be an issue, just get me a drawing and what's that?
I said, Dean's having quite a party if he has 50 people.
Yeah, I don't have that with a full nurse's office.
Yeah, so,
Wouldn't even be close to that.
and I have not had a contractor there because there again, I wasn't going to waste anybody's time until I knew from the township on what we were and were not allowed to do.
Yeah.
So, but that is,
Well, the only thing I'm going to throw out there is, I guess you were looking to do that this summer?
yes, possibly.
Alright, because board typically doesn't meet in July unless we have to for some weird reason.
No,
Well, I'm just...
I will not be here.
Well, the only thing,
So,
the only
That's it.
extra
No.
cost would be the AFO.
well, what I would do
Sorry.
is, if you can
Or
for
you could
the
get 3 months off.
committee of the whole,
Okay.
kind of so that we,
Budget.
because maybe a budget, and also if you have a couple pictures or you want to set the whole board, because you're altering a building. I don't want to say that we can tell you can do that. I mean, I would think the board as a whole should approve that. So, I would just, if you can have something ready for the committee of the whole.
Okay. Like I said, I have to make that drawing anyway, so I can
Okay.
give you a copy of the original and a copy of the changes. You know, kind of the reason for it and that kind of stuff.
Or even if
and
you-
an explanation too of, you know, door 1 will be this, door 2 will be this, this will become door 3.
And even if you don't have it final for the committee of the whole, if we at least discuss it with them at the committee of the whole, and then for the regular meeting, the voting meeting, if you have the final number or whatever,
no
at
problem.
least. Okay. But I think we're all okay with the concept of that. Right?
Oh, yeah.
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 I think it needs to be done. I just think the board needs to approve it. That's all.
Everything will be in-house except for the wall cutting for the door where the window is and the AFO. We'll build the wall, we'll do the drywall, we'll do the painting, we'll do the cove base, we'll do the VCT, we'll do the modifying of the countertops. Phil Trasser, our carpenter, has already looked at it. He said, Casey, not a problem. I've done more complicated things building homes. So,
So have all that extra time on your hands with
The
when you
floor
get your new
cleaners.
sanders,
There you
so-
go.
Yeah.
So we should be an issue.
if I have any finished carpenters that are custodians, yeah.
Professional carpenter. Delineation of work here.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, they all have their...
I can build walls. I'm not a finished carpenter. So, that's all I have.
Okay. Well, I was, did you guys all get to see my email about the music, that opportunity? Okay, so Mr. German is here, and he brought somebody with him. German, sorry.
It's all right. You're certainly not the first and won't be the last. For those of you who I haven't met yet, Andrew German, I'm the new band director at the high school. I guess I can say new for another 2 weeks here before it doesn't apply anymore. We have some handouts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you saw the email, you probably got the basic gist of what I'd like to propose.
I've seen these enough. I don't need to.
I like them.
Mike's are really.
Drive over these things?
Well, it certainly looks like it, doesn't it? They've been certainly well used over the years. You kind of read the
Duct tape might be
backstory on
better.
some of the instruments.
It's like from the 1850s.
Well, there are horns that we're using that were purchased by the district in 1970 and are still in service today.
I thought
What
our
we
HVAC
what we
I
have
feel old now.
in front of us is the opportunity to host as a rehearsal facility part of the youth education and the arts ensembles. One is cadets, and cadets 2, which are a drum and bugle corps. And what I'm proposing is that in exchange for use of the facilities, rather than paying the fees, that we get an equivalent value in replacement instruments to go towards the program. And Justin Heimbecker here is one of the representatives from their corporation. They're teamed up with Yamaha, so we have the opportunity to kind of work their connections and get professional grade brass and percussion instruments to replace our aging fleet. If you read through the packet that I gave you, you can see the instruments that we're using now and what the approximate replacement value would be if we got one of the used Yamaha instruments for them. So I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Justin here. He can tell you a little bit about the programs that they offer and what exactly a drum bugle corps is and what it would entail hosting these organizations.
First of all, thanks for letting me take a few moments of your time. Basically, Youth Education and the Arts is a 501c3. We're based up in Allentown, so not too far to drive. And we run several programs on a local, national, and international level. The Cadets Drum Corps is the oldest. It's the flagship ensemble. It's 80 years old. They've won the World National Championship 10 times, the World Championship another 10 times. So they're, depending on which team you like, the New York Yankees, or maybe the Phillies a few years ago, they're the best. They're up there. Andrew was in the Cadets. I was in the Cadets a few years before that. It's really a training ground for music educators. They tour the country for 90 straight days. They live on buses. They cover 20,000 miles, living on gym floors in 30 states. It's a little bit crazy, and they pay to do it. But they play NFL stadiums. They play for probably 500,000 people over the course of the season. The Cadets 2 is a program that's in its fourth year of existence, and it's a regionalized version of the Cadets. Whereas the average age of the Cadets is 20 and a half, it's all music majors. Cadets 2 is probably 17 to 18 years old. It's much more regional. It's a weekend-only activity they rehearse through the winter, but once really Memorial Day kicks in, all the way through Labor Day, they get together every weekend. Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, go home. Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, go home. And late June, they start doing performances and competitions. And like I said, that's a newer group, it's a younger group. It's a little bit less intense, as you might imagine. You're not getting on a bus and leaving mom and dad for 90 days. So it's a little more user-friendly for the younger students. And then we also have Winter Guard and percussion ensembles that rehearse basically from the end of marching band season until the start of the summer drum corps season. So I think we work 51 weekends out of the year. We take New Year's or Christmas off, that's about it. So that's one piece of the organization I work with. The other piece is U.S. Bands, which is the part I'm responsible for now, which Daniel Boone High School actually participates with. We basically support events for scholastic programs. So we run 150 marching band shows in the fall in 25 states now. We have the national championships at MetLife Stadium. We have states at Westchester University. We run indoor color guard things. We run concert band festivals. They were just at the Kimmel Center on Wednesday. We supported that. We managed that. And basically our goal is to support scholastic programs with the lessons we've learned from the cadets and spread the word. So instead of just affecting 300 young people every summer, now we affect 75,000 across the nation with the same philosophies and ideas that we've learned. Again, nonprofit organization, what can we do to spread, to fulfill the mission, which is, we want to make great performers and great musicians, but we try to teach lessons along the way that are going to help them succeed in life, no matter what. So whether you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a parent, a husband, a wife, can you learn a few things along the way in our programs, or can we support the band directors in their programs in fulfilling that mission on our behalf? So that's really kind of a 3 or 4 minute overview of the program. As far as what I've been talking with Andrew, I think that the possibilities for a relationship are endless, but we probably don't want to dive too deep just yet. I think to start, it would be how can we support the Daniel Boone High School music program, and even the entire district, both in terms of experiences, finances, equipment. What can we do to support that? And in exchange, is there something that we can do to help us have rehearsal facilities, to have these groups practice and perform, and be at the top of their game? That's the toughest thing we do as an organization. If you might imagine, we get on these buses and go around the country for 90 straight days, and we're in a different city every day, finding a school in that city to go, we're going to bring 150 young people into you. They're teenagers, co-ed, and we're going to ask them to sleep on your floor, shower in your locker rooms. There are adults there. It's a bit of a daunting. We need your fields, we need your green facilities, and everything. It's a bit daunting for districts to kind of understand what we're doing, especially when we say we want to do it several times repeatedly over the course of a long time. We've got a great track record. I can say I ran the cadets program for about 6 years before I decided I didn't want to live in an RV for my life and I wanted to get married and stay married. But
why would you want to do that?
So now that you've had the experience, what's your answer?
I'm going to give you the safe answer and say I'm happily married. But
good answer.
I can say that we've had maybe 2 issues in the 11 years I've been working with the organization. One time, the drainage clogged up because we took too many showers at the same time, and sewage everywhere. That was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. He was there for that. Yeah. And it's not something anybody controls. It's obviously, we did what we could to make it right and clean up, and But we do have a rule. Rule number 1 of the cadets is always look good, and that kind of encompasses everything, whether it's on Facebook, or the website, or the truck, or the school you're staying at, or the field you're using. Always look good. Always assume the superintendent's going to walk through a room when you're not in it and make a judgment about 80 years of your organization based on what they see and what they hear. So we preach that to I say kids, but we preach that to the members every day, and Andrew can vouch for that. Rule number 2 is leave it better than you found it. I don't care if it's your mess or not. When you leave, assume you'll be blamed for it and held accountable for it. So if you see a cup or a gum wrapper or whatever, figure out what you need to do to make sure that there's, as Mom always says, be beyond reproach, be above reproach. So don't give anybody a reason to call on Monday upset. So we kind of get, if we do those 2 things really, really well, people will like us and have us back. Especially if it means that their students can help that we can help their student experience with top-notch equipment. I mean, when I say we use brand new Yamaha equipment, we get a new set every year from Yamaha. We buy it as a Yamaha dealer, we buy it at a discount, and then we're able to sell it to bands at a discount after we're finished using it, and use that money to then buy from Yamaha again. And we just, every year, we recycle all of our brass, all of our percussion. We don't actually own our marching battery percussion. We loan that from Yamaha, and then we give it back to them, and they sell it on their own, just because it's all custom made. Our percussion instructor says, I want that kind of chrome screw, I want this kind of wood, I want this kind of color, and they build them a new set every year. So it's really, we get great, great, great care from Yamaha. But that said, along the way, if there's a way for us to build into that process of recycling your horns, and those drums, hey, let's let them stop at Danny Boone High School while they're going through that rotation. Whether it's, and I heard you talking about depreciating assets. Do we really want them on our books? You know, do you really want to buy a car or do you want to lease it? You know, we can work it out however it makes sense for everybody. So if you wanted to buy instruments from us in exchange for rehearsal space, okay. If you just wanted to borrow and give it back and swap it out for a new one when it's time and just always have fresh horns and drums that you don't necessarily have to own or depreciate, okay, we can talk about any of it. You know, whatever makes sense for everybody, that, you know, we're not above talking through it and figuring it out. The other piece is, you know, when Daniel Boone High School goes to the Kimmel Center or to MetLife Stadium and we give them these awesome venues, my goal with my job, I get to play a pretty cool role. It's put kids in venues they would otherwise never be in. So that's why I rent the Kimmel Center and MetLife Stadium. These really expensive places that, you know, kids walk in. They have no right to be there, and we put them there. Can we figure out a way to do that to help Danny Boone's budget? So we can reduce fees, we can help with fundraisers, we can eliminate fees when it's appropriate. Obviously, MetLife still needs their check, which is a big check, but if there's a way that we can support giving the students in the district a fantastic, top-notch, world-class experience and do so in a way that works for everybody, absolutely. We're all about it. That's why we exist.
So do you do this with other schools in the general area?
We do have relationships with a few. The cadets in the winter normally stay at Hopewell Valley Central High School in Hopewell Valley Regional High School in Pennington, New Jersey. They have a rule with their board where you can only stay over so many nights in a year, regardless of who it is. So we use those weekends for the cadets, and that's it. Because the cadets are really more international. They have students flying from England and Japan and California and Florida and Texas and Canada. So they rehearse one weekend a month, and then they come in May and they're gone for 3 months. So we use those weekends at Hopewell. We've had experiences with Woodstown High School in South Jersey. More recently, let's see, we have a relationship with the Allentown School District. The problem is they don't have the facilities we need, and they're never available to us at the rate and volume that we need. So they might have a school open, but it doesn't have a full-size field, or, you know, the field is unsafe, it's grass and it's bumpy, and we risk injuries. Because the students, as you might imagine, they're marching around pretty fast. You know, to be the world champions, you have to do some pretty crazy athletic things. Let's see, who else have we been with? We do host 4 drum corps shows in the area, in Allentown, in Annapolis, in Chester at PPL Park, and in Clifton, New Jersey. So we partner with a lot of schools to put the groups up who are traveling into town. So when I say we've worked with hundreds of schools across the country, and especially regionally, that's certainly not an exaggeration, but I guess what we're looking for is a great fit, not only geographically, but in terms of, you know, a program who could use this kind of help, you know, the things we handed out, in exchange for the help that we need, which, you know, right now we pay an extraordinary amount in rehearsal facilities for districts who aren't interested or aren't willing to have the conversation about borrowing instruments or bartering, or, you know, we're not cash rich, like I said, put it that way, as a nonprofit.
Neither are we.
Yeah. So
You haven't noticed how the conversation.
So, you know, if we can save some dollars on rehearsal facilities and save you guys some dollars on instruments and experiences for the music department, and if there's a way that works for everybody, I think it would be a fantastic partnership.
Go ahead.
No, I was, how many weekends and during what time frame would you be looking to use? Or, I mean, would you want to use it every weekend if you could? But you take what you can
I think
get.
I'll start small.
Okay. No, so I'm just trying to figure out what are we talking, you know, what are we...
I mean, like I said, we have someone rehearsing about 51 weekends out. I certainly wouldn't come in here and say that we need 51 weekends. Take a week. I'd say maybe if we could talk about trying 3 or 4 and see what you guys think, see how it goes, make sure everybody's happy. Go, okay, now let's, you know, see if we want to take it a step further and do a few more, or talk about something more long-term or something. And obviously there are things that happen on a high school campus. So if there's a car wash or a bake sale or a soccer game or a basketball game, we work around that. We're built to work around that.
You guys were here years ago.
We were, and
Correct? Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and our winter percussion rehearsed here a few months ago for a few Saturdays, and everybody was
years ago. You guys were here, 100, like you said, I think it was 180 kids sleeping on the
Sounds about right.
gym floor,
Yeah.
and you'd never know they were there when they were
That's
gone.
good.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was perfectly clean. They were very well mannered. It was,
Yeah, they're great kids. You know, and who else signs up to get beat up every weekend in the sun for 14 hours a day? They have to be a good kid, you think.
Yeah, because I was still in high school.
They should be
and
great
I wanted to
spouses.
see what 180 kids sleeping.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, so they're really, I mean, it's the top 1% of kids that we could ever ask to work with, no doubt about it.
And I think,
They
I
work
saw the
hard.
rehearsals are open, I think, to the public, you said, right? The people can come in and watch
As long as
them.
it's okay with you, yeah, but we don't close anything off. And we always invite the local students to come out and lunch, and usually they'll end up eating lunch with the guys and drumming and getting lessons. And, you know, there's a real good chemistry there, because those guys were once the high school kids watching, so it's neat for them to be able to pass it down.
So you need a gym and a football field, right?
In essence, probably a little bit more than that, but
And the locker rooms and,
They definitely need showers.
definitely.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've seen some of them carrying the big drums around, sweating.
So is our showers in the annex over down by the?
Yeah, they used the new gym when they were here, and then all the locker rooms.
Because
There are showers.
There are showers in the annex, but you can lock down the entire high school and only confine them to the gymnasium and the locker room area at the new high school. There is an ability to more or less cordon them off to just that one part of the wing.
Yeah, this is drop down.
It is,
so
drop down gates can be locked, because this conversation came up a couple weeks ago with Mary Beth, and I was at a conference, and I was on the phone with her back and forth and emailing and stuff like that, and I had called Kenny Temple at the high school just to verify. I said, we can isolate the gym and the locker rooms. He said, absolutely. So
our locker rooms, I mean, do we have enough facility-wise for that amount of people?
there again, I'd have to, you know, I'd defer back to them on that. I mean, they've been up there in the winter time, so, you know, I'd have to, you know.
I usually say if we have 5 shower heads per gender, we're fine. Usually.
Oh, it's there.
How many genders are there now?
We,
3.
we just go with names there.
Sorry, the thing about the circus just came into my mind.
I thought you were going to the Caitlyn Jenner thing.
I don't want to go there.
All right, yeah, let's say that for after the tape's on.
How did it work? I mean,
Tape's on.
this year over the wintertime, you guys practiced. You know what? You know, we had this same type of situation. Where did where did you guys exchange and barter to do this?
Yeah, so with the deal we struck for the winter, they were in a couple Saturdays and I think a Sunday or two. We exchanged a new xylophone. Our old one was literally falling apart because we were getting their hands cut apart on it, so that was a good deal there. And 2 of the marching tubas replaced. You saw some pictures of the ones there that looked like they got run over by the truck. One of the nice things with those tubas we'll be getting from them, now those won't come in until the fall, until after their season is over and ours starts. The tubas that we have right now, they actually have it's called a soft case or a heat bag. It's essentially just kind of a cloth bag that it goes into, and so when we load it on the marching band truck, it gets all bounced around, and then more dents wind up coming into it. These, the ones that we'll be getting from them, come in a really nice hard roller case, something like, it's essentially throw it onto an airplane and it'll be okay. It's a real hard case.
Now, are they ours? Is that the deal you struck? They belong to the
That was the deal we struck. Those are now
those 3 instruments.
part of our inventory.
And that was for how many weekends of use?
That was for probably for 3 or 4.
I don't know what this stuff costs, but I know instruments are pricey. You don't buy
Yeah,
them.
I would say, but do we
I get you guys
actually
on
buy
that.
them, or do we just see? See, I could see some of the board members saying, well, we don't actually budget to rebuy instruments, so we would prefer the cash.
Yeah, I can see that. Unfortunately.
Well, I like the concept.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
I do think, and I'm always the party pooper because I deal with the regulations on the other side, but I would say I think we should certainly check with Union Township to make sure that they don't have an issue with people staying in the school all the time. You know what I mean? Like that there's no occupancy issues with overnights.
That's a good point.
Now, basically it's always gone to the school board to get approval for the overnight stay.
Well,
we've had a few moments where they tell us that we need to have X number of people awake at all times, and so we would keep the staff awake and rotate through the night.
Right. My only concern is there's an occupancy issue by the municipality that says that it's for use as a school building. Most school buildings don't have people sleeping in them.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it's once in a while, I think you can get, and it's a school event, I think you can get away with it. If it turns into something where you're having 150 kids here 1 weekend a month, 2 weekends a month, I think before you do it and find out about it and they have a problem with it, I mean, it's no different than churches. You know, a lot of churches open up for homeless shelters in the winter. There are municipalities that won't let churches do that because it's not what they've been issued for. So and I mean, whether the school does it or the group does it, I just think we need to make sure that.
Well, we know some people over there in Union Township.
We do.
Now,
We
these
do.
the kids that are in this, like, what are their ages, age range?
They are, the average age for C2 is about 18. I think their youngest member is 14 or 15, and then the oldest is 23.
See, I don't think that should be an issue because you've bought that capacity and you're using it.
You bought the EDUs based upon normal occupancy
Of the school.
I've
So
been into it, believe it or not, up north. I signed on as a Red Cross shelter for disasters. And we had to do something. I don't know what it is down there.
It's a consideration.
That's what I just don't, like I said,
What about conflict and scheduling and stuff like that? I mean, I know, our football team, they start practicing in the summer. Do they use the field?
For the marching band season, Mrs. Goss.
right, they'd have to coordinate with it.
Yeah, she and I could coordinate that.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of the nice thing about the schedules that the Field Force use is you can kind of design the day around whenever a space is available. So you can kind of plan it to make it work. And, ideally, they'd be rehearsing in the stadium, but obviously the football team has practiced in the stadium. They get the priority.
Well, and these men have noise issues.
Getting back to my question about this, so that you do have minors
Yes.
in the same areas as adults. Now that was the one. I was sleeping overnight, and that got my mind thinking, that already doesn't sound like a good recipe. Okay, but I mean, first of all, you got your own insurance, I imagine. They have like waivers that we would have to protect the district. I know you have everything the people segregated, but just trying to think of any counter argument that I would.
Do you have people that are awake all night?
Yep.
Generally, I mean that's okay.
Yep, always. It's sometimes employees, sometimes chaperones, but somebody who can be responsible. If there's an issue, wake up the person in charge and say, hey, we have to deal with something. I can say that again, knock on wood, but in 11 years, I've had not one issue with exactly that concern, which is a valid one, of somebody over 18, somebody under 18, somebody over 21, under 21. We always tell them that when they're on the clock with us, they're not 21. So I don't care what you do Monday through Thursday, but when you're with us, you're 20 years, 364 days old, as far as we're concerned. So there's nobody going out to a bar and coming back.
Well, that's the
space.
fear.
That's just not part of the culture. And if anybody were to do that, they'd probably be out the next day.
So really, once they're here, they're here.
They're here. Yeah. We say you're on the island. Don't leave the island. So.
And to Mike's point, you have verbiage in here that talks about background checks on all adults.
Yes. Yeah, we use a professional background check.
We'd probably want to have copies of that.
Sure.
you know, if we did this.
Definitely needs a look over by our solicitor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and staff all signs contracts, members all sign member agreements stating conduct, you know.
Now, the only question I have is probably more from Mr. German, as an employee of the school district, okay? I don't know what any of this stuff is worth. You know, I know that the vibe that the boosters bought was like $3,600, something else, you know. I have no idea what this stuff is worth. So when you're looking at a barter situation, when you're making the building available for equipment, how do you know that you're getting the money's worth?
Right, well, I mean, we kind of have to, I guess, decide on you know, the amount of space that they're using and for how long, and come up with the.
Because we have some guidelines.
Yes, I know there's that outlined in policy, and there's a amount for every facility. So I guess my suggestion would be to look at those rates and based on that, come up with the value per weekend of staying and come up with the.
Well, that policy
value from there.
is being revised as we speak. It allows the business manager of the district to negotiate more instead of having strict, you know, this is what it is every single time. So we do have, you know, if it's Mr. Small, he would be, you know, the person that would be talking to you to make sure that you're, you know, all right, this is what we think that the building's worth and how much usage. And you're going to say, well, that's about equivalent to these are the things we need.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, how about this? You give us a couple nice Steinways and we'll call it a day. How about that?
What were you up on?
those are rivals.
We can't say
You can't do that, can you? Okay, we'll go. I like the concept. I think we have to just work through some of the.
Now, you have your own budget. You have your own budget in the music department to replace equipment, or
We have a budget, but there's not really a replacement budget. We have a repair budget of it's $1,200, and so
A year?
Based a year. Based on that, you know, I can't even buy one instrument used.
I was going to say, I just saw some POs for losers.
Yeah,
You ate that up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you know, just to repair an instrument for a very simple repair is $100 right there. And so the instruments that we've been using, they've been kind of repaired over and over, and some creative fixes. In fact, on some of the tubas, we can't even get the parts anymore that they've custom finagled some parts to keep them working for us.
come on, there's a lot of good fixes in these.
Because I think Mike probably
I
could solve
have
them
personal
himself.
knowledge of those fixes. And tape on the, and that tape on the pedal was not one of them.
But you know, the other thing that happens with a brass instrument, especially, the more and more that you repair it and redo a solder, it weakens the metal, and it's just going to cause it to break again.
Well, I think that's unless you get something through the boosters, your only way of upgrading this stuff, you know, if it's 20-some years old, and they all travel, you know, kids, you know, I've seen the way they treat them, you know, by accident or by negligence.
But I think it's important to point out, I was talking with Andrew on Wednesday at the Kimmel, and he said his numbers are looking to go up by something like 20% this coming year. And we work with about 800 bands across the country. And I know that that's probably the most challenging, awesome problem for a band director to have, is his numbers going up or her numbers going up. Because all of a sudden you have to equip and uniform and do all these things. There's a cost associated with that.
You didn't get the memo?
The kids pay a fee to play. It probably doesn't cover all those things.
I thought we were killing the music.
So if we can help that participation rate go up, you know, with getting that equipment to outfit the group.
Well, I think,
I like.
Yes, sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, for those who don't know me, I'm very sarcastic.
Really?
You speak fluent and sarcastic.
It's the only language I know.
I mean,
Why don't you two check with Union Township?
I was going to say, I mean, I can utilize information in the email you sent me to give to them. Okay.
Do that.
We have a board member.
And then I
Yeah, but
guess
that's more of a zoning issue.
just let me know what other
I
recommendations
just go to the
you
zoning
have
officer, really.
so that we can
I mean, I'm,
continue to move forward.
as far as, the only question I have is, the value of what we're getting versus, I mean, and that's going to be somebody who knows what the equipment's actually worth. But beyond that, I'm supportive of it.
I think,
How late do you play? I won't-
That's what I was looking at. You're done by like,
Yeah, and I don't know what, I'm assuming there's a noise ordinance.
9 o'clock, yeah, then on here is the sample schedule.
so you're
9
done by
o'clock.
8:30, 9 o'clock, dinner
We always
tonight.
find out what the noise ordinance is in the township we're in, and
Work around
we stick
that.
to that, yeah. Same with
Because
lights.
there are houses and stuff up there.
Well, and I was gonna say-
From my house.
The band in the summer, I shouldn't say in the summer, well, the summer practices up to 9 o'clock.
Right, that's that. And I can
Every
hear
night.
them at my house.
And you always get one or two phone calls from the people that live down below, that when they bought their house didn't realize there was a school up there.
I actually, last year at Relay for Life, I was here at like 11 o'clock or something. The state police actually came because they got a noise complaint for Relay for... No, well, not this past year, the year before. Yeah, and I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, because they came in all, well, like police can sometimes.
jacked up.
Yeah. It's like, really? Come on. This is Relay for Life. So if I could see if that was once a year and people complained, I could imagine if, So,
Sure. Yeah,
but I would think if you're done by
check
9,
with
it
the
shouldn't be an
township to
issue.
find out.
It's a good idea, fellas. At times. Sounds really good. Let us nail down some of the details and get some questions. It's great.
And I mean, we can bring it up at the committee of the whole meeting for the rest of the board. I mean, they would not approve it probably till the voting meeting, which is the end of the month. But in the meantime, that should probably allow us to get. I'd say, do you have any?
You have more of these for the other board?
I can get more of those.
Okay,
Sorry, I came up a little short tonight, sorry.
that's okay. I'd say or email it.
Sure, yeah, I can digital copy.
For the PDF.
Because we'll just put it in the board pack. We can just put it with the
emails that we can just...
yeah.
What
With the,
time constraints are you looking at? Like, you're trying to do it this summer, right? I mean,
Yeah, we're at a little bit of an 11th hour crunch.
okay.
Yeah. I think we were set at Conestoga or Conestoga Valley. I wasn't involved in that, Conestoga Valley. And that fell through.
okay.
So we were a little bit surprised by that, and now we found ourselves scrambling for each of the past 3 weekends to hit
You've got an ideal facility over there.
So, in talking with Andrew, we thought now's the time. So let's see if we can get the conversation going and make it happen for everybody.
All right, we'll see what we can do. And I mean, I don't know if you need to wait until the committee of the whole, till the board's today, but I would just run it past. I think we should run it past Brian to see if he has.
He sends me the electronic version. I'll forward it right off.
Okay, because that way we can address the issues ahead of time if we know what his issues are, rather than wait till the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be in committee of the whole and have somebody raise something that we didn't think of, and then...
That never happens. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Sarcasm tonight. Getting laid down.
I'm just going to throw this. I'm not going to tell you have to, but if you can come to the committee of the whole meeting next week, it might not hurt. So that if one of the board members has a question, it's Monday. It's at 7:30, I think, right? 7:30.
Yes.
Yeah.
So bring one of these fine examples of.
Bring one of those Yamaha pianos.
No, things you're going to get, the things we want to upgrade from.
And I don't know that you have to come back, but at least if he's here, if somebody has a. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just. I'm sorry.
Well, and one of the, another thing we could do on the last page of the packet there are companies that buy essentially clunker instruments. So we could, they sell them for scrap or for parts. But we could potentially sell off that old equipment. You're not going to get a ton of money, but at least something, and use those funds to buy something else and continue to.
What brand are they?
Roll things over.
Yamahas?
Well, our instruments are God only knows what.
You do, but these jumpers, what are they?
Those tubas are Yamaha tubas. They're,
Wow.
very old.
So back in their day, they were good.
Some of the other brands that we have, the baritones that I would want replaced, and the mellophones are Bach brands. Those were the ones that were built in the 70s and look like they've been run over a few times. Our drum equipment is Pearl. The mallet equipment, well, the marimba, we're not really sure what it is because it's been kind of pieced together. It was, from what I've been told, it was pulled out of the dumpster after finals, got it put back together. And the One Vibe is a premier brand vibe, which that company exists.
So do you see a path where you can get the most, the worst condition equipment replaced? Like,
Yes.
With an agreement
Exactly.
here?
Kind of prioritize everything. And, you know, maybe if it was just one weekend, that might not be enough for a tuba, but if you look at 2 weekends, that would be potentially.
And Casey, did you?
Tubas in
I mean,
it,
I
yeah.
don't know if you saw that they need a water hookup within 100 feet, and they need the two
there's
non-GFIs.
outlets of
That's
power up
okay.
there, so I'm not.
They're non-GFI, I saw that was
Like,
in.
it's kind of like collecting green states.
And if worse comes to worse, we
Green
can, there's panels everywhere I'm
Get enough
at
of
in the
everybody.
building, so we can get on the cord, hook up if need be, or record it over.
I heard how the sound system was hooked up last year, and also last year. So, for graduation.
I'll get the witness after the first time this year,
Sherry and
so.
Hutchinson. SNH.
I'll see if I can.
All right,
I'm, like I said, I'm supportive of it.
yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I just, like I said, I sent out. They were the first things that kind of popped in them. Anytime you got
Those
kids,
are great points.
Well, that, in fact,
Overnight.
we don't do this for any, nobody else sleeps in our buildings. And,
right.
So it's that first time, like you said, developing that trust that, our facility's going to be taken care of. And our,
Although what's ironic, and that's a good piece of information, is that we did this before.
Yeah.
My wrestling team slept overnight too, we just didn't tell anyone.
Well, but was that? Do you have an idea time
You
frame?
gotta get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for a tournament somewhere.
I know they were here this winter because I had to.
But
plow
not
around the
overnight,
cars.
right? You guys, they weren't out here overnight in the winter, were
Yeah.
they?
No, we went to
We're
community
at
center.
the community center.
Right. Okay.
Parked over there.
But
Okay.
do you remember like time frame? Was it like maybe 90s, 80s? I mean,
Yeah, it was early
Right.
90s, I want to say.
okay,
In Birdsboro?
okay,
98, 99, somewhere around.
okay. Just all right. That's fine. Just we can. I think it always helps if you can say
Like I said, it was spotless after they were there. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that many.
might be extra man hours too for more projects.
The list is long.
how to use a wax machine.
Trade you a tuba for a couple wax. Come on.
I'd like to see this work out.
I would too.
Right. So yeah, I mean, we think it's a good idea. Well, some of it'll depend on the board and I guess what the township says. But it's also a good piece of information to go back to the township with that this has been done before. So it's not like
Yeah, there's a precedent.
exactly. So
Well, I'll get you a digital copy of that packet, and
That'd be great.
if you have any questions or concerns that come up.
Yeah. I'd say you're welcome to come to the committee of the whole meeting as well. I mean,
no, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I think
Wanna vote?
at least if I don't know how far you are, so I don't know that you necessarily have, but I would have at least Mr. Garman or somebody here that if the board has a question.
I'm sure speaker or something.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Well,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, but she's a big music supporter, so I think she'll be.
Me too.
But she does always come up with awful. Anything else from you?
Just your last item.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna throw out there. I was, and I don't even remember off the top of my head who, but I did get an email from somebody on the board that asked me if we could, if facilities could talk about potentially, are there any savings from outsourcing something like?
That was me.
I thought it was, but I didn't want to blame it on you if it wasn't. With like lawn service or something like that. So I want to stay away from like looking at and talking about outsourcing specific jobs
How about,
because
how about a cost benefit
right,
analysis?
because I don't want anybody thinking that like we're out to get the people that mow the grass, or the food service. But are there certain tasks that can potentially get outsourced?
Snow plowing.
So that, right, would be cost effective, and maybe as people retire or you don't necessarily replace them or they quit. And we've done this. I mean, even at the last place I worked, they had parks guys that mowed all the parks around, but they didn't mow like the administration buildings and the tap. We paid a lawn service to come in and do it because it was cheaper than having our own guys do it. So I just figured maybe we could start that discussion of this. How do we go? Do you have any thoughts on that? Is there a way to go about analyzing that?
Well, I'll start with it's. Brandywine is one of the few that outsources their mowing. I was telling Brian earlier that they kind of had the perfect storm. They had 2 gentlemen retiring. They had mowing equipment that the old timers were very happy mowing with, that were able to band-aid and keep running. So they were at a point where they were definitely at a fork in the road. Either they're going to hire people and buy new equipment, or they're just going to go and outsource it. So what they've done is their lawn mowing is the properties are done once a week, and the grounds are done. The athletic facilities are done twice a week. But their maintenance staff does all the infields, the line of the ball fields, trash pickup, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
All they have is they just have a bunch of landscaping company comes in, mows, and they go. And they're contracted at a value for the year. And then if they need additional mowings, each additional mowing costs X amount of money. If they're not required to mow, they do not get a rebate. Which a lot of people, if you're going to tie their hands to come into your facility, there's got to be an advantage to them. Now, their maintenance staff does all the snow removal in-house with the custodians and that kind of stuff. The only issue I see with us on others, I'll use grounds for the example. If we were to outsource the grass cutting, we definitely would not need all of the staff. That leaves an issue with snow removal. Now we're going to be mandating your custodians, not only just your head custodians, but your other shift custodians to come in and do snow removal. Now, the advantage Brandywine has is he has a third shift at all of his buildings. So what his third shift does is if the snow comes in early, third shift no longer cleans, and now they go out and start clearing snow until the rest of the staff gets in early enough. They at least get the entrances and stuff like that done, and that kind of stuff. Our disadvantage here is we do not have third shift at any of the elementary schools. So currently the way we do snow is more or less the night before I make the call of 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock we're coming in, and I let the grounds guys know and the custodians know to give them enough time to get their sidewalks and stuff like that open and done. For us, my intent with the grounds department is, which has never really been done before, and that's why I met with the custodians today, is this summer my grounds crew will also be the moving crew for the custodian staff to help empty rooms, to help move the furniture back into rooms, to move tables or whatever they need to be done, because we have women who are custodians and they can't lift, and some of the guys can't lift either, due to age or physical, abilities. So
be careful there.
my intent is to use my guys as well with the custodial staff, which I have a meeting tomorrow morning with the entire grounds crew in my office, and they're going to be informed of this. So they have not done that in the past, but they will be doing that this year. My intent with the grounds crew, of course, is this winter is to do our filter changes that the maintenance staff usually does, and take that burden off of the maintenance guys, to grease pumps, to grease motors, to repair belts, to do painting and that kind of stuff, because there are a lot of things that I can do with them that currently needs to be done and has not been done with them in the past. think they're kind of prepared for that because I've kind of laid hints about that this past winter, like get prepared to have a paintbrush in your hands.
That's true, because and I don't really know how that you have grounds crew and maintenance and but if they're mowing grass in the summer and we don't have snow in the winter, what are they doing in the winter?
What I had them doing this winter is and there again being my first winter. Granted, we had a lot of snow to clear, and then equipment to repair and to fix, but I had them empty out some storage areas. We cleaned out the basement of Amity, put in shelving. We cleaned out the basement at the middle school, put in shelving. We had a athletic storage room that took us 2.5 days to pretty much get shelving in there that was safe for the staff to use. So I started using them to clean spaces out. And they were a huge help with that. Had a lot of grumblings, but I really didn't give them much of a choice. And it's just a mindset. I need to know what the staff can and can't do. There's some staff I trust with doing things. There's certain staff that on my grounds crew that I don't trust to do. That mow, to sit on